So our Lord is speaking today about attachment and detachment, that we must be detached from the things of the world to seek after the things of God. And I've said this a few times. It's one of those kind of sayings that for me at least, it sticks in my brain. God can't fill our hands when they're full. We have to have an empty place somewhere in us for God to put something there. But if we're completely full, God will pour His grace upon us and it'll run off, if you will. And this is what's happening in the first reading today and the responsorial psalm. The prophet Ezekiel has been sent to dress down the king of Tyre. The king of Tyre, he's been successful. He's a king. He has a huge treasury. He's full of himself. He's gone so far as to say, I'm like a god. And Ezekiel says, when the foreign invaders come and your life is threatened and they're going to put this sword through your fine clothes, are you going to be a god then? Or are you going to be humbled by your mortality? And this may sound a bit gruesome, but St. Francis, it is said, would have a skull that he would meditate on in the morning. And what would he be meditating on when he looked at that skull in the morning? The shortness of life. In fact, there's a saying, time flies and life is short, or death is sure. Time flies and death is sure. And that's what the prophet Ezekiel is trying to get the king of Tyre, the prince of Tyre, to meditate on. The shortness of life. When's the last time you meditated on the shortness of life? Really took some time. This morning, today's saint, we didn't celebrate his saint day today, but I was reading about him anyway, Saint Stephen. And I said, okay, I wonder how old Stephen was when he died. Because it has been my habit recently to calculate the lives of saints, and I'm like, man, they're younger than me, and it makes me feel like an underachiever, because they were saints already when they died, But he was 65 or so, Probably in the year 1000, that's when he lived. Probably an old man, 65. But, 1,000 years ago, time flies, doesn't it? And so our Lord He's trying to get us to focus on eternal things. And when we cling to the things of the world, we're going to miss the things that God has for us. So, time flies and life is short. And no matter how successful we've been, no matter how much riches we have, no matter how high our station in life is, with king, with fine robes and a treasury full of money, the prophet Isaiah is saying to us today, meditate on your mortality. Meditate on your mortality. It's good for your soul.